And then came a young lady.
Right.
And her and I went and sat down, and I made it, again, being transparent, why I was supporting her opponent.
Right.
Well, after she had already won against my opponent, against her opponent, who was the person I was supporting,
Right.
her and I had a conversation. And I wanted to know, listen, just be open, Yolanda Adams, open your heart to me.
Right.
Tell me what the real plan is, because I know that, politics can be smoke and mirrors. They get inside, but they belong to people because they have to make good on things that
Right.
people contributed to the campaign and all that. I've been behind the curtain. I've seen the wizard. It's a barrel of hay. But when it comes to knowing who's right for the people, and it don't matter what color they are, because I've supported candidates that, weren't even someone that I would even looked at on the ballot,
Right.
because of their intentions, and I've seen their work in our community.
Right.
And that's who I support. It's not about a envelope. It's not about, who has the best charisma on television, who did good at debate. Who are you really for real?
Right. Right. Have you ever had ambitions of getting into politics?
Negative. I don't want to be the king.
Okay.
I just want to be the king maker.
And a lot of people don't understand. We're gonna unpack that conversation. I never forget. I had a conversation with Bishop McKissick here, and we sent our thoughts and prayers out to him in the loss of his mother.
The loss of his mother. Yes.
We was having lunch, and he had a conversation with me. He was like saying, "Never desire to be the king. The king don't affect policies. It's the king maker who affect policies."
I've never even had a conversation with him about that, so that lets you know.
Yeah. And so the thing about that, when we say, and this still is the power and influence that you can get the person that you want in, because you have their ear, they're hearing the heartbeat of the community. And that's what an influence, in my opinion, that's what an influence is. I got the pulse of the community. And if I got the pulse of the community, you bring the issue to me, and I'm gonna gauge the community on if this is what we need. If it's not what we need, no, we need to move it in another way. So when we look at influencing, and when you say my greatest accomplishment, and I know you walk in humility, but when you say your greatest accomplishment in moving the needle forward for the benefit of somebody else, what would that be?
If I could say my greatest accomplishment in moving the needle for someone else, I was in the process and a part of the process of getting our first black mayor elected. And that was really my first, that was my first intro to politics. And that really showed me influence as well.
Okay.
Because before he even went to the TV station or any radio outlet, I myself, Orion Benjamin Reddick, God bless his soul, and Bernard B. had him in Bernard B's basement interviewing him. I was interviewing him live stream. So many people were on that stream, Facebook live stream. Facebook Live had just started.
Okay.
I was interviewing Alvin Brown, who was our first black mayor here, on there. And he got the attention of voters. He got the attention of those that was just wanted to be a part of being history. You know how it is.
Right.
But I learned a lot after that, because with what was done, we created a organic torch that was burning his name, and then everything else came after that.
Right.
So I would say, to your question, that's probably, in that analysis, is my greatest in helping moving the needle.
That's
Because it was a W.
Have you ever considered? Have you ever said that this city is stifling me, and if I go to another city, I can blow up just like some of the famous names?
Mm-hmm. Oh, I've thought about. Listen, so many people have said, Gene, if you lived in New York, oh, you'd be big, and I'm like, how? I don't understand that, but they know the power of networking,
Right.
and you getting in. They saw my value.
Right.
I've been offered to do radio in Connecticut, and this was years back, early 2000s, when I had gotten that offer. But my biggest accomplishment is not entertainment, it's not being an influencer. My biggest and best accomplishment is being a father. For those, may or may not know, I lost my kid in 2018, but prior to that, even before my daughter was born, long before my daughter was born, when my son came into the world, because my biological father was absent, because he might have been in prison or the streets had him, I didn't want my son to experience what I experienced. And because, yeah, I could have been big in this city, or I could have went here or moved there, I never wanted to be a postcard dad. I want to pick up from school, drop off to school, help with homework. Like, that's Gene.
And it's ironic that you talk on that, because as we sit here filming, this will be aired during the month of Father's Day. Mm-hmm. And for you to say that being a father was more important than going to get a bigger paycheck. Mm-hmm. Because there are so many fathers that would say, and use as an excuse, let me go get this bigger check, mm-hmm, so I can take care of you more, mm-hmm, but I'm not picking up from school. Mm-hmm. I'm not there to help with homework. Mm-hmm. So being an influencer and we, as we segue, being an influencer was always second to being a father.
Everything is second to being a father.
Because we are a product of environment, and you said the absence of your father made you want to be even a better father.
Correct. I think that father, like, whether you have a daughter or you have a son, as a father, if you're that child's superhero,
right?
Like that's who they see. You are the man that they see. And for me, I didn't have. I had a stepfather,
right?
But that didn't take away the fact that I knew I had a real father,
right?
And he just didn't have time,
right? I
love my stepfather. My stepfather raised me to be the man that you see right now,
right?
But that never stopped me wanting to have the relationship with my real dad,
right?
And as a child, no child would feel that way. They want to be. I have that relationship with their father until they get old enough to realize, hey, he just don't want to have no relationship with me.
Right.
It wasn't never about the money. My prayer was, God, you see my sacrifice, because I want to be a in the city, hands-on dad.
Right.
Make it work for me in the city.
Right.
And he ain't failed me yet.
And so you have joined the fraternity, unwanted fraternity, of parents who happen to say, I lost my kid to violence. Mm. It's not an easy conversation to have, because unless you walked in those shoes, you don't know how that parent feel. But during this season of Father's Day, where we honor fathers, what was that moment like when you got that phone call?
It's something I'll never forget. I had just dropped my daughter off to ballet. And for whatever reason, this particular day, you know how sometimes cellular service,
right,
it acts up. You could be in a space and your phone locks dead in, and somebody trying to call you, and on their end, they may get your voicemail immediately. You ain't getting a call.
Right.
And then when you're trying to call out, you can't dial out because you're in a space where you can't dial out.
Right.
Well, my son's mother was called after I dropped my daughter off. My son's mother was calling, and we talked anyway, but her calling back to back let me know something was wrong.
Right.
But when I answered the phone, I didn't get reception. And this was nothing but God. I didn't get reception until I got on Moncrief. And I normally wouldn't have even come that way, but because I had dropped my daughter off, 95 was backed up. I was taking some back streets, and I said, you know what? Let me go on my block today.
Right, right.
She's calling me. I see activity. Fire trucks pulling out. I'm coming down Moncrief. I'm finna hit the block. I'm finna get ready to pass Holly's Barbecue. Simon Johnson Park is right there. I see the ambulance pull on Royal Court. That's the street I grew up on.
Right.
Currently, my son was with my grandmother, living at my grandmother's house, the same house I was raised in.
Right.
So I see the commotion, but I'm headed to go get my bonus baby who's cheering at Reigns at the time. So I drive past, but when I drive past the street that I grew up on, I look over to see was my son van in the yard, and it was. And the house looked calm. The action, because there's always activity going on there.
Right.
Always.
Right,
So
right.
I never even looked. By the time I got to Moncrief and Edgewood, I was able to get a signal. And it was my son, mama. And she said, you need to get to the hospital. She actually gave me the call. You need to get to the hospital. My son's name is Desmond. We call him Dez. Dez has been shot. Mm-hmm. I said, I just drove past the scene. But I'm going to tell you how God worked. The guy who killed my son, he never got a chance to leave the scene because, they have now what they call shot spotters.
Right.
So when the shots went off, my son got hit in the back 3 times. So you hear him pop, pop, pop. It was an undercover cop in the neighborhood and was able to pull up on the scene
right at time
and apprehend him. So he's been in custody since that day.
Wow.
Since that day. So, where I'm from, if somebody takes something from you, you're going to take it back or you're going to go steal, you're going to...
Right.
And I'm going to be honest, I fought a lot of demons.
Right.
I fought a lot of demons. And I've said this publicly, and I'm going to say it again on your podcast. I could have turned this city upside down about my kid.
Right.
Because I had the bag to do it at the time.
Right.
It could have really got. The young lady who was on the scene with him, because she was the reason why he even came out the door, and they were friends.
Right.
She just had, this guy he couldn't let it go. And her and my son weren't together, according to him.
Right.
They was just friends because he used to call me and say, hey, Pop, I want you to meet such and such and such, such and such and such. So it might be 2 or 3 people. And They was all friends. He just had that personality.
Right.
But I still talk to the young lady to this day. I made it very clear before, trial and all of that happened. Hey, leave this girl alone. Because, his other side of the family, he's got girl cousins. They felt the way.
Right.
But he and myself and his mom, we was on the same page.
Right.
Hey, we need her for witness.
Right.
She was there. She saw it.
Right. Right.
Can't run off.
Right.
And I'm thankful to this day that I didn't drop a bag.
Right. Wow. I never knew the story behind that, but our stories are similar. My ex-wife was calling me, and at this time we wasn't talking. Mm-hmm. So when I see her name come across my phone, I don't know it's about one of the kids.
You know it.
We ain't even talking.
Right.
And so I never forget, I'm riding down 9A, and she blowing my phone up, and I'm like, first I'm like, man, I ain't got time for this.
Right.
I don't want to have nothing to do with you.
Right.
And something say answer the phone, and the scream that I heard in her voice.
You knew.
I knew something. And so I'm immediately asking who.
Right.
And when she relayed who it was, I've never heard her scream like that before.
It's something you'll never forget.
And I never forget the scream she had on that phone. So
You'll never forget her.
it was crazy. But in this season of Father's Day, being one of the, if not the biggest, one of the biggest influences in the city, what is your message to fathers who are not fathering?
You're missing out. You're missing out. And I'm going to tell you this. I look at my dad, and I love him. But I look at the state he's in. You cannot produce a life and abandon it.
When did you get to the place, or have you got to the place that you forgave him?
My dad?
Yeah.
Oh, I've long since forgave him, because now I care about his welfare.
Mm-hmm.
We hang out and we talk. I've gotten past the fact that, hey, we missed those times.
Right.
And, you know, I can tell you some stories, man, about me and that cat alone and how it even shaped me to that. He's the first person that ever disappointed me.
Wow.
Over a double cassette radio.
Wow.
Yeah, I wanted a double cassette radio. He told me he had it. Came and picked me up. We go out to his girlfriend's house. Little do I know I was a part of a scheme the whole time, because he already knew he was going to use me for the alibi, come and get me, because he was going to stay out all night with her car. Me and my dad used to spend together. Now, listen, all of this, I can talk about this because this is not active. Me and my dad used to spend time in his trap.
Okay.
Apartment complex. We sitting out back. I'm on a milk crate. I just see people walking back and forth, and he's, you know, giving them something. They giving him,
And
they give him something, and they keeping it moving, walking by. And I'm just sitting on the milk crate.
Right.
I was naive. I didn't know where I actually was.
Right.
So there are some things that I look at, because he gave me street knowledge. And I gotta say, shout out to Lil Duval, because on my birthday, Lil Duval respectfully rolling power, and I can call him that because I was his OG,
Right.
You know, and so proud of all of his accomplishments. But he posted that, happy birthday to me. He was one of the guys that I looked up to that was from the streets, but wasn't on no street BS.
Right. Right.
He showed me you don't have to be a demon because of the environment that you come from.
Wow.
That's me. And my father gave me that. So even though he wasn't physically there and I wanted to be up under him, you know, and he was my first disappointment, but that taught me, well, I'm gonna tell you what that did, because I was so disappointed. I felt like, well, dang, if he'll do me like that, who can I really trust?
Right.
So my trust, and even still to this day, my antennas go up. I be like, yeah, I hear what you're saying, but let me see how that work out.
Right. Right.
Because everybody be yada, yada, yada.
Right.
And when I get in certain rooms, and it's like, this don't feel right.
Right.
I ain't gonna stay too long, because okay, why are we here? What are we doing? Who's it benefiting? Is it gonna help and move the needle forward in the culture?
Right.
And is everything gonna be accounted for?
Right.
And then when the him and the hawing come, it's like, oh, I was a part of something that I really ain't have to be a part of, and they didn't do everything they said was gonna do.
Right. Right. And you know, I was looking at a couple of weeks ago. I often tune in to Speak on the Tuesdays, which is your show.
Mm-hmm. I need to get you. I need to get you on there too, because we need the Tuesday.
I'm ready.
Tuesday.
I'm ready. And so the thing that really put a smile on my face, man, you was like, hey, look, I'm mobile now. My baby got swim meet. So y'all gotta understand, we finna be mobile on Speak On It Tuesday. And that goes into fatherhood. You know, that everything I got going on, this is priority. This what make Genedotcom who he is, because first, my priorities are straight.
That's first.
The people who matter to me most, I'm giving it to them first. Y'all just benefit of what I'm giving them. And so when I saw that, and then week after week, I'm like, this dude done got the headphones, he rolling in the car, he committed to what I'm doing. But this is priority.
It's priority, man.
So, man, you said it key. As fathers, when we miss those opportunities, we leaving babies with, and you said something real important. The first person that ever disappointed you was your father.
That's it. And I know I'll never forget what that felt like, man. It was a double cassette radio. That he came and picked me up.
Yeah.
Again, a part of the scheme. He already knew what he was gonna do the night before.
Right.
He come pick me up, bring me there to soften the blow.
Right.
Or what he think gonna soften the blow.
Right.
But when he pull up, police already there. Cause she know he can get belligerent or whatever. Nah, we ain't having that. I need the police to escort him out of here. But he sent me to a room and told me to look in the closet where there was no radio. But while I'm in the room searching, he in the room changing his clothes because he know he finna get out of here.
He getting out.
I rode back home to my grandma's house in a police car.
Wow.
She didn't even take me home. So we talking about, these are things that made me identify what disappointment is, and I know I ain't never want to feel that no more. Now that's not life. That's not real life. You gonna be disappointed,
right?
And like you gonna disappoint yourself sometimes. I disappoint myself,
right?
And I have to tell myself, Gene, you could have been better. You could have did that better than that.
Yeah.
You already know better. Like I don't even know why you even think like that. Like I talk to myself like that.
Yeah.
You know,
I did too. A week ago, I did something. I went somewhere, and while I'm at this location, I'm like, you know, you ain't got no business here. Why are you even setting yourself up for this failure? And then I said this to myself, your expected outcome, you already know you ain't gonna get it. And then it set a trigger, right? And it set a trigger, and it set me back for a minute, but then I had to think, damn, I did this to myself.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times we know before going in we shouldn't even do it.
Right.
But then this wishful thinking thing, and we end up messing our own stuff up, and we can't blame nobody else.
Can't blame nobody but us.
Can't blame us. So you know, I like I said, I've known you to be a man of integrity. I've known you to be, like I said.
Well, that's you too, bro.
I still say that
you too. Now.
You are the mayor of the culture, and I mean, like I know different cities that if you was to go to right now, I can take you right now to Chicago, Illinois, and drop you off in Hyde Park, and you would like transfer the whole Hyde Park because you fit into that culture. Hyde Park is a culture that it's a FUBU. It's for us, by us. And in Hyde Park, you got black restaurants, black clothing stores, movie theaters, schools. Hyde Park, Chicago, is black Chicago. See, we don't hear about that in Chicago.
Right. We hear about the violence.
And then, you know, with that violence, they tell you this, oh, it's in a controlled environment. I'm riding down the street in Inglewood when I first get to Chicago, and it's nothing to hear gunshots and drive up and you see bodies on the ground. But my second year, going to my third year there, I'm riding down the street, and I'm seeing a white lady jogging. She ain't running for her health, for her life. She ain't running for her life. She jogging.
She comfortable.
Then go a couple more blocks, you see a white man walking with a dog. Then I come back through there, we got a Whole Foods. Control.
Right.
I want this land because I want to do something, but I want to exclude you from it.
Correct.
And so gentrification is a whole different subject. I don't want to get into that, but it's a whole different subject.
But it's going on right now.
But we I ain't gonna say we, but as a influencer, you got to speak to the power of revitalization because the communities you and I grew up in, it's a lot of history there.
Yes.
But we reach a level of success and feel that our success is better served in communities that never wanted us there.
Correct. to gentrification. You can go up Sutel and see white people walking their dogs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Long as they got the school infrastructures, and they do. You got 2 brand new schools on the north side. Yeah, they're coming back.
Right.
And my message, hey, don't sell grandmama house.
Right.
Y'all hold on to it.
Right.
But when Big Mama die,
Right.
the families seem like they get, and that's not all of them.
Right.
Because you still have families that when Big Mama gone, Big Daddy's gone, they stick together and things were planned out. But even as family, death split a family apart.
Right. Right.
But when you think about the short game, I'm gonna just get this money right now because we can sell this house and we gonna split it or whatever, and you might get 17 grand off on it your way,
Right?
Because y'all gonna split it like that. But you think about the value you would get in it. You get way more money out of it if you keep it. If you kept it up.
Right.
If you rented it out.
Right.
Or if you enhanced it.
Right.
And say, we're going to put it on the market for this.
Right.
Now we even getting more of the people. And then when we sell it, why don't we do this? Why don't we go get some land and we can continue to see what Grandmama House did
Right.
for us? But if you're not thinking like that, no offense. I know that we are big in line dancing and all that. But if we ain't focused on nothing but boots on the ground and having a party, our priorities are wrong.
Priorities wrong. That's it.
And then it's like when the information comes to us, I ain't got time for that. I got to go over here and do that. Like there are a lot of financial literacy programs, affordable housing programs, all of it. But we don't delve into that like we should.
I've heard so many athletes and entertainers say that they are not role models, that that's not their responsibility. But when you have the influence that you have, what is your interpretation of that? Do you feel that that is a responsibility or a duty of yours to be a role model to the people that look up to you? Not only do you have adults look up to you, but there's a generation after that that's looking to say, I want to imitate Genedotcom one day.
Mm-hmm. When I hear like entertainers and athletes say that, when they say like, I'm not a role model, I think they're more so speaking to, hey, don't hold me. You know how like we'll look at our pastors or our bishops and we hold them to a certain standard.
Right.
But we know that pastors and bishops, they make mistakes.
Right, right.
People in the church, they make mistakes.
Right.
And I think what that they say is, hey, I'm human just like y'all.
Right.
But for me, for Gene, I didn't get this far by pretending to be something that I wasn't.
Right.
Or following the status quo or the trend of, okay, with hip hop, they gotta act like this. Because I know that's a certain audience.
Right.
That's gonna eventually. So my DNA of my brand, I knew that at some point, I'm gonna get older and people are gonna grow with me. It's better to be marketable to many versus just this group over here. Because this group over here that's doing this now, they may be acting like they don't have anything to lose or what have you, but a lot of them are gonna grow up and they are gonna have things that they can lose. So their mindset is gonna change.
Right.
Why not meet them on this side? And when I say that, you look at like those that are neighborhood and then those that are Jacksonville.
Right.
For me, it is important to, again, accountability and maintain my image because I am a role model and you are a role model whether you want to claim that title or not.
Right.
If it's, a kickstand you want to use to prop up, hey, I don't want to be accountable. Don't look at me because I still do this and that. And that's cool because that's being honest.
Right.
That's being honest. Like I respect the drug dealer that say, no, I ain't going to church because I sell drugs.
Right.
pastors say, "No, come on in. We want you anyway," and they are right because they're believing, God to change. But they're like, "No, I ain't going. I ain't gonna play with God like that. When I give it up, then I come talk to God. I respect that.
Right.
I do. But no, you're a role model regardless. When you become a public figure, you are public property.
Wow.
You are
Wow.
a role model, and they gonna hold you responsible. And listen, I made a post one time, and it was just a general question, and it was in regards to politics. I was like, why aren't we looking at this? But it was of the opposing, like the person that they absolutely despise.
Right.
What I realize about our culture, we don't chew the meat and spit out the bones. We take all the meat off and we look at the bones and pick at it.
Wow.
So we don't even get the nourishment because we complaining about the bones.
Right.
But if you would have just got the meat and threw the bones away, then you would have left with some substance.
Right.
And some nutrients that would have fed your intellect to make the right decision where it comes to voting. What party you planning to attend? Like, people spend thousands of dollars a year on flyers to put information on it. Only for people to say, "Hey, where it's at now?"
Where it's at. Yeah.
Cause we ain't focused.
Wow. That's powerful. That's powerful. Today has been an honor for me to host Genedotcom on I Got Ish to Say. This was an uncut conversation. I had a chance to talk to the man, the myth, the legend, the phenom. He walked in humility, but this is greatness. And I am honored that this greatness sat here and had a conversation with me today. So tune in, subscribe, like, and follow all our social media platforms. I Got Ish to Say. I told you, we bringing the ish to you on another different level. Controversial, challenging conversation, but it's going to be impactful. Tune in.